Hello, this is Patrick from XPression. I'd like to show you a new feature in XPression Maps 3.4 and higher, the ability to add shadows to your shape styles. So here I'm inside of XPression Maps, and you can see I've got a map of a portion of Northern Europe here, and you can see I've got France, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg all highlighted. Well, right now they're kind of okay. I've got a black border around it, so it kind of makes it stand out a little bit, but let's go to Germany for a second, and what I want you to see is right now I'm using a style called Country ID. I want to create a new style. Actually, I'm going to modify this one first so you can kind of see this. I'm going to click on the open button, which is the three dots, and I want to edit Country ID. What you'll notice next to the color now, there's another ellipses, which is an open dialog box. This is the dialog box for adding a shadow to your shape. So if I go ahead and I click shadow and turn that on, first off, you notice all of my shapes have that shadow idea. We'll talk about this in a second. I have the ability to move this up or down and left and right. So you can see right now I'm moving my shadow to the right. So this is my X position basically. And then the second flywheel is my up and down or Y position. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play around with this a little bit just so you can see it. I can also adjust the blur. Now what I also want you to notice is I'm putting all this together in here on this shape, and I'm going to say that this is probably a little big. I'm going to pull it back just a little bit. Oh, wrong way. Let's do this. That's probably pretty good. It makes it stand out. But you'll notice that that shadow is falling for the entire group. If I choose, I can do standalone, and what you'll notice, each shape has that drawn on it now. And what you'll notice is the way that they've been put in order. So if I come over here and look at this, Luxembourg was the last thing I put in. So if I actually click on it and raise it up in the list, you can see that it's actually going behind everything else. Belgium was the next one. So again, I'm going to move it up the list. It's now behind. So the top of the list is actually the back. The bottom of the list is actually the top. So this looks like the Netherlands is standing up head and shoulders above. Well, that may or may not be the way that you want to do this. So you can poke and play with this a little bit. The other thing you can do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back and I'm going to modify Country ID, and I'm going to turn off the shadow there because that's just distracting. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new shadow, and I'm going to call it Country ID Shadow, and I'm going to copy it from Country ID. Again, these are all alphabetical, so I'm copying Country ID to Country Shadow. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn that shadow on. And I think I've got a pretty decent look for it, but I don't know that for a fact. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to convert, after I save this, I'm going to convert the Netherlands only to Country ID Shadow. And you can kind of see what I've got here. I can click off of this so I can see this in true representation. And then I can just click here and go and find the shadow, Country ID Shadow, and then do an edit. So now I can come in here and I can decide, you know, maybe that's just a little too much. So I'm going to move this back to zeros. And I'm going to decide I'm going to move it down a little bit. I'm going to move it to the right just a little bit. That's probably pretty good. And I'm going to blur it just a little bit. And I'm going to make it so that it's standalone. And again, I can turn it off or on. And I also want you to notice something else. The way the shadow is drawn, it's applied to the shape. So if you make the shape color transparent, so for example, if I change this to 167, you can kind of see that shadow behind the shape. So best to be paying attention to your alpha or transparency levels while you're doing this. But this gives me the ability to create that shape and shape style. I'm going to save all that because maybe I don't want the Netherlands to be the one that stands out. Maybe I want France to be the one that stands out. And you can now see how I've done that using shadows on my shape styles.